Santos Javier, running for City Council in Providence Ward 15. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So why are you running for the Providence City Council?
I'm running for the Providence City Council because they need leadership. I think I'm that person. I know my community for a long time. I've been in this community for a long time. I know the people. I love to work for the people, and I've been involved in my community for 20 years. I think I'm the right candidate for it.
Now, your constituents are going to be deciding between a pretty wide cast of candidates in the Democratic primary. What makes you stand apart from the other candidates?
Well, I'm willing to do the work, and also I'm a hard worker. The people here, I know a lot of people for where I work at the bank. I think that I'm the right choice to be the candidate, and I'm also the underdog in this race. This is my first campaign, and most of the other parties have, run campaigns before, and I think that's making me, the perfect candidate.
Now, this neighborhood has been really hard hit by the pandemic.
Right.
One of the hardest in the state. But we've seen also that the vaccination rate here has been slower than the rest of the state. Department of Health data shows about 36% of people in 02909 have one shot compared to 50% of the state as a whole. Why do you think the vaccination rate is slower here, and what would you suggest to get more people vaccinated?
It might be, this is a Latin community, so it might be communication. I think that we should send more awareness to radio, TV, more knocking on doors like they did for the census, so they can talk to people. A lot of people are afraid, especially with the issue with Johnson & Johnson. And I also think that people just don't know. People mostly work all day. Sometimes they don't have the time, to go for a vaccination.
What do you think is the number one issue facing Ward 15?
There's a number of issues. Like besides, people asking for speed bumps and, roadside, broken streets and sidewalks. I think education and housing is one of the number one issues that people have spoken about.
And what would you want to do to address those issues?
First of all, I would think we need more funding for the government that goes into our schools. The housing issue, I think that we should have a debate about lowering, the property taxes. That the sewer is really high for the landlords. We also have the water. We also have that insurance, which is also really high. And I think we should tackle those issues because that will make the rent go higher, which means that the housing is going to go higher. So I think that we should all get together and, and tackle that and talk about it and see how we can lower, how we can go around it and make it affordable.
Now, I asked you what the most pressing issue in Ward 15 is. What about the city as a whole? What do you think the number one issue is?
Besides the pandemic, I think one of the city as a whole is actually the ATVs, motorcycle that are like plaguing our streets. People are afraid, because especially because of the stunt that they're pulling. If they drive, like, let's say, in a safe manner without, putting people's life at risk, it wouldn't be one thing. But when you get like a swarm of individuals, driving, recklessly, it put a lot of people in danger, and a lot of people have been complaining throughout the whole city about that, and maybe statewide. Now,
one of the big issues in this ward is the 610 connector project, which we can see from where we're standing. How do you think it's progressing? Are you excited about it? Do you have concerns about it?
I think it's progressing well. I'm excited about it because it's development, and that's what we need. As a matter of fact, my vision for Oniville is to have like a small Silicon Valley, of entrepreneurship and development. Developers come in here, and teach about tech, and teach about technology and, all this great stuff that we can do. I have a lot of vision for Oniville that we can be the tech of the whole state of Rhode Island. There's a lot of people that need that help. They need money, they need funding. So I would put more funding into education, into programs that can help people show how to program, an app, and to do more robotic technology, and make a hub of technology in Underville.
Do you support the expansion of charter schools in Providence?
Well, I want what's best for this, for the children. You know, if they're expanding, meaning that more children will get access to education, then I'm all for it. I also love, traditional, public school, and I think they need also a lot of funding. You know, but I'm up for whomever do the best education for the children, the more program, the more activity for the children, because that's what we need. Activity, educational program, sports, outside, things for the children to do, and that, if they both do it, then I'm up for it.
But where do you stand on the proposal to expand the number of seats, the charter school seats in Providence? Because your constituents might want to know where you stand on that.
Like I said, I only think about the children. If they're expanding, meaning that more children are going to have access to education, then I'm up for it, because all I care is about the children.
Got it. If you were elected, what committee would you like to serve on the city council?
I like public work. I like to see the street clean. That's one of my priorities. I like to see the snow being, blown when it snows a lot, because a lot of people sometimes don't get the snow blowers go around, so I really like that part. But I work in the bank for over 15 years, so I have experience in 15 years of finance experience. So I would also like to be in the finance committee because of my experience in banking. So those two, I would like to get involved.
If you are elected, tell me a specific proposal or ordinance that you would introduce.
My proposal would be, again, with the problems with the ATVs, I will have a proposal where they have to be licensed and insured, and where they don't have, that they don't have to do stunts like they've been doing. Something to make it easy for the people to feel comfortable, because right now everybody is tense with that kind of activity. So that would be one of my first ordinance.
Santos Javier, Democratic candidate for Providence City Council, Ward 15. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you for having me. Vote for Santos Javier.